Hey Lexi. Everybody, just give me a second. I want to test things out. Let's see. Oh, perfect. All right. I'm just trying to set up a chatbot with a few commands. I tested it out, but it seems like it's just working on Twitch. Hey, Catch. So I think I have to connect it to YouTube as well. All right, let's try that again. God damn it! Sorry. I think I wrote it in the chat if I'm not mistaken. All right, I think it's it. I will leave it like it is now. It only works on Twitch at the moment. Hey, Pie of Doom. Thanks for being here. I think for you the comments should work, the chat comments. But on YouTube somehow it's not working at the moment, so sorry for that. But yeah, it's a bonus. So hopefully for the next stream I will be able to make it work. All right, so hey everybody. Pie of Doom, did you make the skeleton? Yes, I did. On the streams, actually. I started streaming this a few months ago, like 2 or 3, and this was all done on stream. I do have all the muscles as well, as you can see. And I'm right now in the process of detailing the whole thing. So, as you can see... Let me make just the skeleton visible. Yeah, I'm just going through all the bones now and start detailing. As you can see, the bones here are more refined than the ones on the lower body. And today I will work more on the lower body, just to make it more polished. So, hey Pen PCM. Amazing how the human body is built. Yeah, it is, definitely. Yeah, it's quite the journey to go through a study like this. So it's been a lot of fun and always interesting to see how things connect. And especially when you build it up from the ground, from the ground up, like all the bones and then all the muscles on top. When you put everything together, you will see why things are shaped and placed the way they are, which is kind of interesting. So I like anatomy, that's why I did this. So yeah, don't know what happened on YouTube, to be honest. It seemed like the link to the announcement of the stream wasn't visible for hours. So yeah, hope the people that wanted to come by will still be able to see it. Not quite sure what's wrong with the recommendation system on YouTube, but yeah, that's the way it is. Pie of Doom, did you learn anything medical-wise while doing this? Not really medical-wise. I mean, I learned the names better. I learned the like, I don't know, how the muscles overlap each other and where I think tension could, or if muscles cramp up, then I know what kind of muscle it is and in which way it is. So But yeah, medical wise, it's more on the artistic side than on the medical side. Ishai, sorry, I can't pronounce your name. On YouTube it's working. Thanks a lot. All right. Yes, always, if anyone has any questions or, I don't know, random stuff that you want me to talk about or that we want to chat about, just let me know in the chat. And yeah, I will probably just spend a lot of time detailing today everything that is currently wide. I will hopefully get through as much as possible so I can then move on to detailing the rest of the muscles. And yeah, the aim for this is to be printed and rendered, so I want to have a nice finished rendering in the end that I can put on my portfolio and have a printed figure of the entire study. I want to, like, one half with muscles, one half with skeleton, and maybe another variation where I will hide certain parts of the muscles just to make it more interesting and more easily dissectable where the muscles start and end. So, all right, let's jump in. And if anyone is interested in joining our Patreon Discord channel, links in the description below, as well as to the recordings of everything that you see here. Alright, the last time that I stopped was when I put color on the humerus bone, and I forgot to enable symmetry, so just one side is painted and not the other, so I will delete lower, mirror and weld, and then reconstruct subdivision levels, and this way I have it on both sides. And I wanted to get through all the muscles that I detailed already with the painting as well, so in this one I will go to masking and then cavity, mask back cavity, and this will give me a nice basis for the texturing. And I will just use the standard brush with the RGB turned on and everything for sculpting turned off. So this way I can lightly go over the bone here and bring out the details even more. And these ones here I can paint a little bit darker just to bring them out. And now I just cleared the mask, so I have more control over bigger areas that I want to paint, and I want to enhance the deeper crevices. Hey Nini, thanks for being here again. Currently texturing the arm bones, just so you know. And I basically continue where I left off last time. Eye of Doom, where did you learn to sculpt? I started learning on my own when I was, I think, 16, while I was still going to high school. And then I went to university, I think 6 years ago, but this was mainly a project-based study, so it was learning by doing, and I never had any classes in sculpting or in Zbrush or anything like that. So most of the stuff I learned from YouTube and figuring out the stuff on my own. But yeah, YouTube was the main resource for me to learn this stuff. and books and drawing tutorials helped a lot as well. Alright, this is a place. Pie of Doom, is this for a video game or just a hobby? This is just for practicing purposes. My main focus is on character modeling, so modeling and texturing, and I used to do quite a lot of rigging as well while I was at university. But yeah, I want to focus more on the modeling and texturing side. So this is just for study purposes. And I think you could use it for film, but not for video games. There's one step missing right now in order to use it for video games, and that is retopology. So if the poly count is low enough, then even this could be used for a game. But I won't go into like retopologizing and optimizing it for games. I will probably make a zero meshed version, so a low poly version with the automatic retopology tool here in Zbrush, and then I will UV everything and bring it into Blender to make a proper render. So this is basically the workflow that is used for film. Alright, now onto the fingers. Same thing, mask by cavity, inverse the mask and hide the mask. And then just slightly going over. Wait, Unreal Engine 5 for stop retopology, 3 assets and low poly. Yeah, that's true. For environment stuff or everything that isn't moving or deforming, I mean, if it's static in itself, then maybe that will still work, but as soon as things deform, then they have to be retopologized. Otherwise, it's really hard to rig the stuff and animate the stuff. So when it comes to characters, for example, retopology will still be there for quite a while, I think. But yeah, I'm really happy for all the environment artists to be able to skip the step of retopologizing everything, hopefully soon. Alright, now the hand is done. Let's move on to the hip bone here. So the thing is with the hip bone that the sacrum is completely deformed, and I wanted to put a little bit of time today into fixing that and polishing it. So I do have a few references on my reference sheet here. Esvaro G. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So let's search for the sacrum. Here it is. And I want to make sure to get rid of the nasty deformations and punch actual holes through the indications here that I made. So Coronado film. Wait, who is that? Thanks for us being here. I see. Hey too. Pie of Doom ist noch following, thanks. Ja, ich hab's mir schon gedacht, Tim. Not much, just streaming. Yeah, maybe I can... Sorry for anyone that only speaks or just understands English and not German, so... nicht viel. Also hauptsächlich streamen, bisschen hier an den Sachen machen. Was geht bei dir? Lang nichts gehört. Bist du noch in Frankfurt oder in Berlin? Alright, I try to make it, I don't know, it's a friend of mine and it's been a while, so wanted to quickly say hi. Critic, hi from India. Alright, Tim. Ich werde wahrscheinlich bis 9 oder sowas streamen, also danach kannst du, melde dich am besten danach. Cool. Danke fürs Vorbeischauen. Pie of Doom, wie lautet Ihre Polygonnummer? You mean the... what? Polygon? I don't get the question. Thanks, Tim. Nee, when I saw you work, I got in mind, need to practice more, but there's so much games. Yeah, that's true. Games are an easy distraction, so I feel you. I used to play a lot, but once I got more serious in sculpting and pursuing this as a career, I found that I would rather spend my time doing this, and I had to sacrifice gaming for that. Pie of Doom, sorry, German's bad. No worries. The poly count on all of this is right now 16 million points in Zbrush, and I think it translates to around, I think, 30 million polygons, quads, and probably like 40 or 50 million triangles. So quite heavy and not usable for games at all. Hey, Infinity Trapdoor, thanks for being here again. Alright, so like I said, I want to get rid of the nasty distortions here in the sacrum, so I will take a look at these references here and try to polish it up. So it's a bit wider here, as well as here, and I think an important thing is to get these holes in there, and then I can start from there. So insert primitives, and then I will use a capsule, and then let's see if Dynamesh is enabled. No, it's not. So I will increase the resolution so I don't lose any details. And let's get even higher, so 800 should be okay for a start. Pie of Doom, it looks like a facehugger from Alien. Ah, true. Yeah, there are weird shapes on the body. Sometimes. Alright. So by holding down the Alt button, I can drag out these inversed meshes, and these will then be subtracted from the mesh when I dynamesh it. In order to see it more easily, I go to Display Properties and use Double. And let's actually scale this one up here, so it actually punches through the geometry. Just like that. So there's our first. Let's see if I can just duplicate it and make it usable for the rest as well. So our second, And then our third. It's quite a thick bone. And the last one. Oh, sits perfectly. Let's try to remesh it, and boom, there we go. We have our holes. Alright, so I really don't like this pale white, so what I'm gonna do is to use my standard brush here again with RGB turned on to 100 and to color and fill object. This way everything has the bone base color. Eye of Doom, do you need a powerful computer to do this? Not so much. Like, you need a more powerful computer for rendering, that's for sure. But let me see. This, no, not this one. What is it? I forgot my own command. So commands. Is it tools? Ah, god damn it. It's not connected. Yeah, I'm working on a laptop right now, so it's not that powerful, but it's a decent laptop. So I think an i7, 2.6 gigahertz, 32 gigs of RAM, and I do have an RTX 2060, but the graphics card is not that important for ZBrush. Akshay, hey. Finn, how are you? I'm doing good. How are you? I do have slight headaches, so I'm probably not gonna stream as long today, but maybe they will subside over the next hour or two. So other than that, I'm doing good. Mini TV ZBrush render is full CPU. Yeah, I think ZBrush doesn't really have anything that's like computed on the GPU, as far as I know, or at least not crucial things. So alright, let me check here from the side view. Want to get these protrusions more or less correct. And it seems like they're sticking out of the bone for every hole. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Alright. Seems to be one hole more here than here. So here are 5. No. Jesus. I can't count. So 4 holes. Then I do have 1 too much. Or do I? Thought I counted 5. Jesus. It's not even late right now. Alright, so 4. It's between them, so here's another and here's another. There's actually a hole here. Huh, interesting. Let's check with the other references. It seems to be here as well. Interesting. Alright, I will make sure to include that here as well. And these holes are further apart. Here as well. Actually quite bigger. Crazy. Alright. There is a separation here. Something like that. It's like this line here that I want to capture. And it continues down here. I think this one, well, this part here is actually thinner, and this makes it possible to see through. That's my guess. Cheerful, hey, thanks for being here. Greetings from Kazakhstan. That's awesome. Greetings from Germany back to you. Alright, this last one here is offset. And a few details here. Interesting. So there's this superior articular process that connects to the last vertebra from the lumbar. Marian, hey. Hey, thanks for being here. Well, do get a lot of error messages because I'm on the wrong subtool, so let's do that again. And incorporate these. Let's see how they're angled. So they're actually a bit angled inwards, as you can see here. And this is meeting the bones from the vertebra much better. So I will try to get something like this here. and I will make them into one polygroup, and this way it fuses. Because I have the groups option turned on for Dynamesh. Alright, I think the backside looks much better than before. Can get more details here. Alright, this is enough for this level of or for the amount of polygons that I currently have. I will go a subdivision or two higher once I'm done with the basic, like, secondary forms, and then I can add the tertiary forms, all the details and the polypaint for that as well. So let me look at how it is connected to the rest of the hip bones. It's more at an angle here, so that there's a more rounder opening. And this part here sticks a little into the silhouette. Akshay, can you show spine of scapula joint to clavicle? Can you show spine of scapula joint to clavicle? Sure. You mean this section here? They're basically just touching each other as far as I know. But before I say anything stupid, let's check the references. Yeah, you can see here that they're basically just touching each other. Not that much of an actual joint there. So I think there's a bit of fascia, or not cartilage, but yeah, tendons attached to it. But they're able to move independently from each other. Not completely, of course, but they have a bit of room to wiggle in. Somehow the last lumbar vertebra here is getting smaller, even though it should become wider than the one on top. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Alright, now back to this sacrum. And I don't want to have any intersections here, so I'm adjusting it accordingly to the last bone. More or less. Alright, now let's go to the front view and adjust here. There's a slight roughed up edge here, so to get a few irregularities in here to enhance the organic feel of the bone. Pretty flat, great work, bro, keep it up. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. And just like Akshay did, if anyone has any questions, just feel free at any point to ask. Otherwise, I will just keep on commenting on what I'm doing here. Marian, where to find the material you use? It's actually default material. When you open up the lightbox under project, you should have this Dynawex 128, and it has a med cap already in it that I use as a base. And then when I go to, where is it, material, under wax modifiers, I set the strength to something like 20, 15 or something like that. By default, when you open the Dynawex 128, it's set at 100, but it's too much of a waxy look for me, so I dial it down to around 15 to 20, and then you will have the exact same med cap that I have right now. These holes here are extended quite a lot, so they're tapering off to the edge. So, pretty Flecker, which programs do I need to learn before start learning Zbrush? Actually, no program at all. Zbrush has every tool that you need for sculpting and modeling in general. It's not that proficient in like box modeling for hard surface things when you want to manipulate individual polygons and build by extruding as you would in Blender or Maya or anything like that. But there are powerful hard surface tools here in Zbrush as well, so everything from this character here is done in Zbrush. There wasn't any other software involved. So, and it's less technical than most 3D softwares out there, so you could basically open up a project, have a sphere like this. So I think if you open like Dynawex 128 like this and you open it, it should have Dynamesh already in place. So you would have something like this by default if you open the scene, and then you can just try out these brushes and start with sculpting. And the only function really that you need at this point is the geometry and Dynamesh option. And I think, let's see, is this, if you just hit add while Dynamesh is enabled, you will be able to make new topology along the way and don't have to worry about that. So, and just with these, like with the clay brush, which is something like this, and the move brush, that is pretty self-explanatory, as well as the smooth brush, you can basically do whole characters, and there isn't that much technicality needed to get started. Tech Dragon, do you know what might be causing my polypaint to not work? I don't have a texture map, RGB is on for brush and colorize is on. It works in the Spotlight project, but not my main project. There could be a few things there. One thing that could be possible is that you have a mask on it that is hidden or hidden. Hide it, sorry. Because I think it's with Control H, you hide the mask, and then, for example, you would want to manipulate it and either it doesn't work at all or you get weird artifacts going on. You can go to masking and view mask, and this will make it visible. Another thing that might be causing it is layers. Sometimes they're a bit buggy. So if you do have layers and it's not working, maybe try to make everything inactive, so it's visible but not active, and then bake it all. This way you prevent a few artifacts that sometimes occur. This could be the reason for it. Another thing could be that in your brushes, your tablet pressure is not able to somehow access the pen pressure sensitivity. I had this a few times where the brush was like not responsive at all, and I had to change the tablet pressure under use global settings. I had to enable that again. It was disabled for some reason, but that could be an issue as well. Other than that, make sure that RGB intensity is on, and this should be on by default, the display polypaint, but yeah, other than that, mask or texture activate on mesh. Yes, that's sometimes a bit hard to troubleshoot, but I hope it helped a little bit. Marian, oh thank you, I was looking for 30 minutes. That's awesome. Or not awesome, glad I could help. This is more suitable. Alright. Tech Dragon, thanks for those suggestions. The shot you provided me more suggestions in 60 seconds than I found in 60 minutes of Google Search. You're very welcome. Yeah, I hope it helps. Sometimes there are reasons which are hard to track down, especially remotely. But if you find more causes or more problems, just let me know. Try to help. So here are the separations between the two holes from each side. Miriam, pretty Flacco turn off spotlight projection. That could be. Yeah, I haven't used spotlight that often, to be honest, so. Doesn't even want to do it right now. As you can see, not that much experience with Spotlight. I normally use the standard brush with some alphas and the spray mode turned on. And for projections and things like that, I usually use Substance Painter when I use it at all. Pretty Flacco, is Mari a standalone program or is it part of Zbrush? And is it hard to learn? And sorry, what is Mari? I only know it's a texturing program, but what makes it different from Zbrush? Mari is a standalone program. It's made by the Foundry, the same company that is developing the Nuke compositing software, which is quite common, or which is the industry standard. And it's a texturing program which is specialized for visual effects projects, and I would say it's harder to learn than Substance Painter because there aren't that many great resources out there to learn it, and it's quite a technical program. Like, yeah, it's not that intuitive and user-friendly, but it is extremely powerful when it comes to texture resolutions. So you could have, I don't know, 16K textures on a model, or some stupid number like that. And this is really cool for when you have like projects like the Avengers, for example, Thanos' face, or really high resolution characters. Then it's really cool. But I tried it a few times and I never really got used to it. So if you're into texture painting, I would suggest use Substance Painter or something similar to that. I think it's the most user-friendly one with the most resources, which is quite crucial. And if you get nice textures in it, then it doesn't matter for the studio, even when they are using Mari. So it wouldn't be a reason not to it wouldn't be a reason to not hire you. If you're good at texturing in Substance Painter, you will be good at texturing in Mari as well. So use whatever is the most convenient one for you to get started and practice texturing. Nini TV, you got a lot of tutorial for Substance Painter on YouTube. Yeah, that's right. And even on the official channel, they do have a lot of really good resources there. So they have their own YouTube channel, and yeah, you learn basically everything there that you need to know. Let's look at it from the side. I want to see if they're how thick it is. Pretty Flacco, so it's for creating and baking textures and exporting them in high quality resolution. Yep. This, and they're able to handle 32-bit textures as well. So you can import scanned displacement maps, for example, which they use a lot for human faces, for example, or for skin textures. There are displacement maps out there for the skin pores, and they're in a 32-bit float. And yeah, I think there aren't that many programs that can do that in a stable and in a stable manner that is still performant. And yeah, so it's more on the technical side for visual effects. Let's increase the resolution a little bit so I have a bit more polygons to work with. Hey Slayer, thanks for being here. How are you today? Ooh, there's a bit going on here. So I'll try to incorporate that here as well. It seems like a magazine that is like put inside of the sacrum. Pretty Flecko, thank you so much, man. Thanks for existing. Have a great day. Thanks for the validation. Have a great one as well. And that's pointy here. Alright, let's get this one here out. Something like this. And a few separations. 1, 2, 3. Let's look from the side view again. That looks a bit better. Andrew, hey, thanks for being here. Alright, there's a small indent here that I want to capture. I'm really looking for these lines that go from the silhouette inside the form. I think they're always really interesting to include. I'm doing fine, Slay. Thanks for asking. I did have a few headaches today, but they subsided a little. But yeah, I'm a bit tired, so not sure how long I will do today. But I would really want to get through as much of the skeleton as I can. It's about time to move on from that one. Infinity Trapdoor. Question: what is your recommendation for a material light config in Zbrush to sculpt comfortably? I always find myself switching between materials and changing the light because no combination feels perfect, meaning seeing structure shadows on my sculpt. Thank you. For me, I never had that much trouble choosing a light setup, since I really like I feel comfortable with the light setup that I have right here, with the material that I explained earlier. But a lot of artists actually have like, let me open that. This view here, they customize it so that they have it somewhere on the UI and they change it constantly. So it's not uncommon that people switch the materials and the lighting regularly just to get a fresh eye and see forms in certain areas better. So yeah, it's nothing that you have to fix. And I think other than that, maybe it's a thing that you just have to get used to use only one light source or one light setup, and then how do you say it? Learn to interpret the material. I used this skin shade 4 here from the Lightbox for quite a while now, and this way it makes me able to judge the forms more intuitively because I used it so long and I know how the material behaves under the light. So maybe it's just something that you have to get used to, or something that you just keep on doing like you're doing right now by changing the materials. But if it annoys you, then I guess it makes more sense to find something else. But yeah, I really like to use the Madcap Gray for quite a while, and I would use white, for example. And yeah, I somehow moved away from this. Not quite sure why, but I felt that this material represented characters better, like the organic stuff. But yeah, it comes down to preferences. And I would say if it annoys you the way it is right now, test out a few things, but for a bit longer than just a few minutes, to give it a chance to get used to it. So yeah, I can only say or tell you my preferences, and that is the DynaWax 128 project as a base, and then just switch the material tab from the wax modifier from 100, this by default, to, I don't know, like 19, 20, something like that. And this is how I do most of my work, actually. So yeah, this is my opinion. Hope it helped. Someone just subscribed. Sorry, I can't read your name, but thank you for the subscription. Infinity Trapdoor will do. Thank you very much for the long answer. You're very welcome. I see. I think in all these indents here, this is where the outer part of the hip sits on, if I'm not mistaken. Just want to get a few details in. Yeah, but mine looks quite different than this one. I think the fault is on my side. So this goes somewhere here. This is why these things take so long, these studies. Just jumping back and forth between the different references and figuring out how the hell the forms actually look like. Confusing shape, this sacrum. This is where like a 3D printed or an actual physical model would be really helpful to figure it out better. But I guess I have to create my own one, which is inaccurate. Oh, which will end up being inaccurate. All right. I think for the sacrum I'm satisfied from this view. Let's move on to this one, just check it. This one is okay, but the upper part you can get some work still. I wanted to match the vertebra on top of it, so hey Bam, glad you made it. Bam, yeah, I just woke up feeling really sick. Oh man, how about you? How's your day? I did have a few headaches earlier that day. Felt a little sick as well, but not really, so hope you're getting better soon. Oh boy. I made myself some tea before the stream, so cheers. Some black tea with lemon. I heard it's supposed to be healthy, but I just really like the taste. I would drink it if I wasn't feeling a bit tired. Also. Alright, that fits much better than before. And the whole thing looks better. I feel a little better now, though I'm out of coffee. Oh no. I hope you get one, or get some soon, otherwise the cravings will kick in. So where are we at now? What did I miss? Not too much. I've fixed the sacrum here a little. And I'm just detailing more. Hopefully I will get through more of the skeleton today. I added a bit of polypaint for the arm bones here, so just bringing out the details a bit more. And yeah, hopefully, I don't think I will make it today to get through the entire skeleton, but yeah, probably by next stream I'm done with the skeleton finally, and then I can move on to the muscles. And hopefully I will find a way to more quickly detail the muscles, because it's quite repetitive, and there should be ways to make it faster. So I hope I can figure something out. Otherwise I just have to brute forces and do it one by one. But I mean, we're quite far already, and I'm really happy how this is turning out. So just a little bit more time can't hurt, I think. A little bit, meaning like 10 streams. Hopefully not that long. Okay, this one isn't evenly spaced out as I like to. All right. Now let's see if we can enhance the look of the iliacs. What is it called? Maybe iliac. I'm not quite sure. The large part of the hip bone here. Is there a front view? There is one. All right. It seems like it's actually quite thick in this area here. There seems to be a hard edge here on the iliac process. And a small comes forward here. something like that. I'll probably have to adjust a few muscles after doing this, because they aligned more or less right to the bone, and now by changing the proportions here I think it will mess a few things up, but that's fine. Damn, didn't you announce the stream? I was checking earlier before I fell asleep. I thought you're not streaming. I did announce the stream on YouTube, but I tried to see if it was visible, and it was made public, and there were like 1 or 2 people waiting already when I published it, but somehow it wasn't shown on my channel when I looked at the channel from a different account. So not quite sure what's wrong with YouTube, but their way of recommending and displaying new videos is somehow messed up, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I hope they will become more creator friendly in the future. They seem to be, I don't know, focusing on different things. But I did make an announcement, and I'm not quite sure, what the reason for that is. Maybe I will do it a day earlier next time, but sometimes I'm not quite sure if I will make it on time or not. But yeah, I made an announcement on the Discord channel as well, a bit on the short notice side, but yeah, long answer. Sorry. Alright, let me undo a few things here. I think mine was just rotated a bit different than the reference. It sometimes is a bit annoying when you follow a reference for a while and then you see that it wasn't aligned properly. All right. Quite a few interesting form changes and plane changes here inside of the shape. So this is my process right now, just going through one section of the model to the next and see how much I can improve it and what I can add to it. What are the characteristics of that certain area and how to capture it in the sculpt. Here, for example, you can see that there's a it's hard to describe, but this line here doesn't follow the edge. It goes into the silhouette here, and there's another plane coming from this side. So there's something like this, that there's a crossing line here. There's always something that looks quite nice and appealing. Ni. My cake is finished. Smell good. Don't know the name in English, but it's French. Quiche Laurent. So is it a not a sweet cake, but it's spicy, the opposite of sweet? But if it's a quiche, then that sounds very delicious. Ham, meat, eggs, and cheese. Oh, that sounds really tasty. I think last time we on the stream we talked about food as well, and everyone got hungry. Yeah, that's true. Really delicious. I only tasted quiche with, I think it was with spinach, feta, and yeah, egg. So omelette in the pan. Yeah. Luckily, I just ate before the stream, so otherwise I would get very hungry now. But I hope it turned out delicious as well. So. Hey Carl, how are you? How are you? Let's see, the female one has an angle of 120 here. So I'll try to get that more or less correct here as well. It's definitely not the 90 degrees of a male. Alright, now to the probably unpleasant part. Let's see how the muscles look like. It's a bit different, but actually holds up pretty well. Thought it would look much worse. Like sticking out in random places and things like that, but I think the base was solid enough that it didn't screw it up too much. Here it still looks good as well. That's fine. That's totally fine. Awesome. Let's see that the muscles don't overlap too much. Alright. Bit of smoothing out. I think we can move on with the rest of the skeleton. Alright, now that this is all in place, I think it looks decent enough. I will do a bit of detailing, so one subdivision higher, and then under surface I will use the noise function. And I used the scale of around 5 for the rest of the model, so I will continue using it here as well. So 5, maybe like 6 or 7, something like that. And a profile similar to that. So, and color blend to 0. So morph target, store morph target, and then I can apply it to the mesh. This way I can change the proper strength of the details. Thanks, Nini. Nini. Alright, let's increase them just a little bit more. The cool thing about a morph target is that I can go to a brush called morph and erase the things that I don't want. This way I can break up the evenness of the details and enhance it in certain areas, or remove it from places that I don't want it to be. For example, at the edges here I can increase it by holding down the Alt button, and in areas that I don't want it to be, I can just lightly brush over it. And I like to have a base of details already in there, like with the noise brush or alpha maps that I used, and then enhance it in places that I want to have more details in. I have the feeling that this saves me quite a lot of time, so this is why I like doing that, because it shows me where I need to prioritize adding more details. Nee. I actually, I mean, these are the active points right now. Sorry if I busted your search. But there aren't too many at the moment. And if I zoom in, you can see that the resolution isn't extremely high. I mean, there's already a decent amount of polygons in here, but it can get way more crazy than that. And the cool thing about having like these noise textures already in there is that I can... It serves me as a base for happy accidents. Like I can see certain shapes in there or certain details that I like and then enhance them. And it's like getting rid of a blank piece of paper by adding a bit of texture to it. This way it's not as intimidating to add more on it. So I feel like it's similar to that for the details here as well. Bam, I'm just gonna lurk for a bit and wish that I don't have corona. I wish you all the best, man. Yeah, hopefully it turns out to be just like a regular cold or something like that. If it's actually something. So yeah, I hope you get better soon. What is the nose test? I haven't heard of that. Drawer, is corona just the Chinese knockoff of the regular flu? Probably. Hopefully. That would be nice. For the corona, they put something in your nose. Oh, so as a test. So getting samples or something like that. Far inside. That sounds uncomfortable. Hopefully it went by quickly. Alright, move target. Let's get a bit going here. Catch, I bet the sneeze you do after is satisfying though. Alright, I think this is turning out quite nice, detailing wise. Off target, this one here is a bit smoother, I would assume. I lost the details of the separation here that I did earlier, so just have to do them again. There are these small lines that start from a small hole and then move into the form. And I'll just suggest a few. Don't want to do everything. Just a few here and there go a long way. As long as the fall off of the general shape is good, then this should work. And by fall off I mean how the individual bones connect, and yeah, these arcs here between one shape to the other. It's really interesting that there are so many holes in here, like small little holes. But it feels like it's a characteristic of bones, that whenever it comes closer to a joint that it has these kinds of details. And these sharp edges getting close to the joint. And this is something I think is only really noticeable when trying to replicate certain things, that you notice these patterns. I mean, this the third study that I'm doing this way, and I always learn something new. Things that seem so obvious once I pay attention to them, but yeah, I think it takes a while to see things properly. Let's get the details here, or the separation here a bit sharper. Not quite sure where this pointy end is coming from, but I think it might not even exist. Let's go the save route and just remove it. Alright, let's move on to the other part. Big bone here. And I want to get rid of a lot of the noise on the surface, because I feel like this is more of a smooth bone. Speaking from the references here that I have, it's not that roughed up. Maybe more around the edges, but I want to have it more localized. especially in these areas where it's where ambient occlusion would happen, I'd like to increase the intensity of the details. Just like here, for example. I feel it gives a nice effect. Now to the inside. Similar to the other side, just a bit around the corners, or the edges and corners. These can be a bit more pronounced. But other than that, a bit cleaner. Bit cleaner. Morph target. Let's get rid of a bit of the details here. All right. I think I want to move on to the well, let's can't help it. I have to add just a few more breakups here. Just so it's a bit more believable. Is anyone in the chat watching Critical Role by any chance? Would be interesting to see if there were any. Well, for Caesars, where did you get reference? Covered that a bit already in the recent streams, but most of them are from Google Images. So I would search for specific names, and for example, for bones, I would search for individual parts of the face, for example, the maxilla here, and references for that would show up. Or for muscles, I would look at references like this, where there are individual names attached to the individual muscles. And then I would look for example, pectoralis major, insertion points, origin points, however you want to call it. And Google Images will spit you out a few images for that. And it's an evolutionary process, a library like this. So this one grew over time while I was doing the study. So yeah, I gathered it over the course of a few weeks, here and there, whenever I stumbled upon things that I needed more references for. But yeah, so Google Images most of the time. Sometimes I use books or YouTube videos as well, but it would do screenshots from the YouTube videos. But most of the time it's, yeah, Google Images. And if you want to have the library here that I have, I made that available through my Patreon. So if you're interested in that, you can get this reference library in the links in the description, if you want to do a study like this on your own. Feels like this part here can be quite more interesting than it is right now. Alright, that looks much more interesting than before. Before it was just plain and simple. Tuck there. What? What do you mean by what? Sorry if that's somehow the amount of detail. Oh, thanks. I guess it's just a matter of time. Time putting into adding more and more stuff like that. What you doing? I'm doing anatomy study of a female. So right now I'm at the detailing stage, as you can see, and after that I will do the details of the muscles. So I'll already have all the muscles in place, just have to put on the details similar to the stuff that I did on the face. So you can see here that I do have the indications of the muscle fibers in there, the direction, and a bit of poly paint already in there. And now I'm going through the rest of the study, or the rest of the skeleton first, and then the muscles. What's the different from a male? There are a few differences. As you can see here, for example, at the hip bone, the male one is more narrow. It has a more triangular opening of the pelvis in comparison to the female, and in the front view it is slightly different as well. There are a few angles that are different, and proportion-wise. So yeah, for pregnancy, exactly. And so the pelvis is quite different from male to female. Then there is a difference in the rib cage. As you can see here, the arc of the ribs is different. So on the female it's going inwards, and on the male it's going outwards. Not quite sure what the reason for that is, but there's quite a, or this is quite a difference. And for the skull, as you can see here, female European and female or male European, the male jaw is quite wider, a lot wider. The chin is wider as well, and the for example, how far the eyebrows or the bone on the eyebrows is protruding. On the male it's much more pronounced, and on the female it's much smoother. And there are general proportion differences with male and females as well. So where was I? Hey Stevens, how are you, sir? Or hey. You're studying this for art? Yes, I do. Alright, now that this is detailed up, I think I can do a quick poly paint for this. So mask by cavity, inverse mask, and then using the slightly darker color to bring out the details a bit more. What type of art needs that amount of detail? I don't know. I mean, I'm really into anatomy. And I do character models for a living, and I guess for a feature film and even for movies, for games, this detail can come in quite handy. Depends on the level of realism that the game or the film is going for, but for film and commercials, I think this level of detail can be nice, but for me it's just for personal study, and hopefully I have it as a portfolio piece in the end. Just replacing my old study that I did. So Stevens, General Kenobi. Yeah, Stevens, thanks a lot for the help for the people on Discord. I think it's really valuable stuff that you put there, And thanks for the time that you spent for that. Really appreciate it. Tactor, like I would imagine someone would hire you to animate Mortal Kombat fatalities. Maybe doing the models would be nice for that one. I do some animation as well, but yeah, I would like to focus more on the details of the models and stuff like that. So. Let's increase the texturing here where it's a bit rougher. I want to darken it a little. Tactor is now following. Thanks a lot. Ethan Jones, have you heard of Gnomon or Gnomon? If so, what are your thoughts on it? I think they have pretty cool stuff going on at their school, and I mean they have a lot of great instructors there. But I'm not quite sure how expensive it is, and I can imagine that it is quite expensive. So if you have the money, do it, but I think spending it on individual courses that you find online that are specialized in certain things, I think you will get quite far with these with a lot less money to spend. So it has valuable stuff there, but yeah, I think you can get a lot of it somewhere else for much cheaper. So, Stevens, I'm always wondering about how depressing it could be to work on a Mortal Kombat game, like seeing broken bones and flesh every single day. It can be quite fun if it's not too cruel, I think. I mean, I think it can be quite depressing to look for references for that. I think this might be really tough. I heard for the Goblin King in The Hobbit, they looked up like diseases and blisters and burn victims and stuff, and that is cruel. So yeah, in that regard, I think that can be quite quite tough. But other than that, it might be quite cool to do like these action things. I mean, a lot of people are into explosions and destructions and stuff like that. And as long as nobody gets hurt and it's for entertainment purposes, it can be fun. But yeah, looking these things up, I think that might be really, really tough. Yeah, bam. That's what I think as well. I mean, if you are able to hit the move and KO the other player, then that is satisfying. They should allow to drink alcohol while modeling and taking a look at references. Yeah, just to numb you down. Yeah, maybe it's a protective measurement for the artists. Should be suggested. Imagine people, stuntmen who come for motion capture in Mortal Kombat deaths say, okay, now he break his bone like this. I wouldn't envy these guys. Let's compare it with the model here. the vertebra just to see if it matches or not. And feels like the poly paint on this one is too... how do you say it? Too reddish? I think it lost a little bit of the original color. Yeah. So I'll try to bring this one back a little. Contrast is too high right now, so I will push it back a little bit to blend it more with the rest of the skeleton here. View mask, let's see, there's still mask active. I want to get a feel of a shadow underneath the ridge here, so I will enhance the poly painting here. Or not enhance, but make it stronger. Alright, moving on to the next bone. I think the sacrum is done. And the rest of the hip as well. Bam, how long has this project been running again? I think I'm getting near to 3 months now. Doing like 2 streams a week with like 2 weeks pause of a break there. So I would say 2.5 months. If I add everything together, I think the runtime for the streams, I'm at, I think 40 hours something, 40, 50, including all the chatting. So yeah. A bit more than a week worth of sculpting if I would do it in a job, but probably I wouldn't get as much done in a week. I'm not quite sure. Especially if you have to figure things out, it's quite exhausting and you can only get so much done in a day before you have to recharge your how do you say it? At a certain point you don't see mistakes anymore and you have to get a break to get a fresh look on the model to know what to do next. So sometimes working the entire day isn't that efficient. Nini, just to be sure, you ask about this project or the other one? What other one do you mean, Nini? Nini? Alright, here turn off groups and merge it together. Let's see. All right. You know, I think I lost. I think I lost the game. God damn it. Alright, details for the femur. There we go. And the same thing here with the other one. I want to get a good base going, so color, fill object. What was the mindset before you start this project? Did you plan for it, or did you just do it right away the moment you got the idea? Since it's the third time that I'm doing the study, I planned for it, but not really in a sophisticated way. I just collected the first references that I needed. I started with the hip bone because this was the area that I struggled with at the moment, and I went from there. So my mindset was to, because it's a good question, I want to elaborate a little bit on that. I tried to see every object of the body as an individual small project. So the entire study in itself can be quite overwhelming because there are a lot of objects in there, a lot of stuff is going on. And as you can see, I have like 106 objects in this one, and I have combined a few things already. And tackling all of that at once can be quite daunting and demotivating. So I tried to see everything as an individual project. So for example, the hip bone in the beginning, that was a project in itself to block that one out. And then I moved on one bone after the other. And I was able to quickly block everything out, and I could adjust everything in relation to each other then. And it was a lot of small milestones along the way. And the aim for the study was to learn and refresh my anatomy knowledge. And so there isn't anything wasted when it comes to the process, because I want to learn. So the result isn't really that important, and it's more important that I can figure stuff out and learn new things that I didn't know before. And I actually plan to leave the model in the detail level as you can see here now, and just move on to the muscles. And I did that, but I still had motivation to put the details in once I got to that point. And I think if I set it out in the beginning to have that kind of detail level as it has right now, especially here now in the pelvis area, I think it would have been quite demotivating because it took a long time to get to this stage. And being able to be flexible in the goal is sometimes a good thing to trick yourself into actually start doing the project. And for me, when it comes to this study, this is definitely helpful for me to yeah, break it down into the smallest step that I can imagine that gets me going. So if the goal is too big and it's too daunting, then I try to break it down, and sometimes I break it down so I'm sure that I can finish this task in like 5 minutes or something, just to make a little bit of progress. And when I'm able to achieve that, it gives me most of the time more energy to pursue the next step in this project. So yeah, I started with the hip and worked myself along or through the entire body, and seeing the results, seeing how everything comes together, gave me more motivation and energy to get to the next step. So even the skeleton in itself is an achievement to get through. And then I just tackled the face, for example. And this alone is already valuable. And yeah, I tried to apply that to all of the different muscles and all steps of the way. And right now, or at the point where I am right now, the motivation hasn't left me, or has not left me yet. So I want to keep on detailing and pushing it to the next level until I'm exhausted and I don't want to do it anymore. Or if I get to the edge of what I'm capable to do, and then I can move on to the next project. So as long as I haven't gotten everything out of it that I feel I can get out of it, and I feel that I'm making progress and I'm not stuck in a loop, then I want to keep doing it. And I don't have any time pressures right now to finish this project, since it's just for personal study reasons. So yeah, long answer to that question, but I hope it clarifies how I approached this study in the first place. And this was basically the mindset that I had when I did my first study like this, I think 6 years ago. So this is why I like studies like this, like the echorche study, because it consists of so many individual small projects. So it's easy to break it down to small tasks. Next level, internal organs. I think it will take a while before I tackle those. But yeah, this is like a whole nother level. And for me, I wanted to understand why the surface is shaped the way it is. And the surface is defined by the skeleton, the muscles, and the fat pads. So this is why this is valuable for me to learn. And hopefully I can incorporate that into future character models and stuff like that. So hope it answered your question. Slay. Yeah. Stevens, thinking of each part as a single prop is a good way not to have this artist board syndrome. Yeah, I think sometimes it's like there's too much going on and there's such a gap between what you have to do next and what you're able to do next, or what you want to have and what you're able to do as a next step. Like tackling the whole model at once, there's so much that you have to do. And if you don't have it broken down into these individual tasks, then there's a huge gap between your goal and the next action that you can take. So bam, yeah, that's actually a good tip. Rewarding yourself little by little could lead to more motivations along the way. I think this is why you have to like the process when it comes to artistic pursuits. Because the reward for it when you rely on like likes or the finished product in general, there's such a huge time frame where you have to put so much into it that you have to find ways to reward yourself along the way. And I think this can be achieved by breaking it down into smaller milestones. And yeah, if the process itself is fun for you, then it's rewarding all the time. And this will keep you motivated to keep doing this stuff and not stopping. Ni, understand the creature bones to realize a better realistic character or creature. Understand the creature bones to realize a better realistic characters. I mean, if you ask if the bone structure is important, then definitely. The bone structure, like the skeleton, for either for animals or for humans, is really important to know. I mean, it's not the most fundamental thing, but it helps so much to construct realistic characters and creatures. And if you're, as you say, going for a realistic result, then the bone structure is really, really important. All right, I want to get this transition here going. Stevens, yeah, it's always good for people who look to your work to be able to refer themselves to something real. Yeah, that's true. That's an important point that Steven is making. It has to be grounded in reality. Your eye knows the underlying principles of how things should look like and what makes things look believable. And even in like alien and creature designs, like fantasy creatures, if they're not based on these underlying principles, like a proper skeleton and anatomy that makes them able to move in certain proportions, then your eye will know it. Your brain will figure out that something is wrong, something is off, and this makes it less believable. So having a base like a proper skeleton, for example, or an understanding of how anatomy works will give your creatures believability. So definitely. Oh, hello Finn, will the stream be saved for later? Yes, but there are available through my Patreon page, and I have, I think, around 40 streams now recorded. So a lot of content and a lot of different projects there, but mainly this anatomy study, and this is available on my Patreon. So there's a link in the description for that if you're interested in it, and you will also get access to the reference library that I have here that I used to create this entire study. So references for the entire skeleton, for the muscles, and a few for fat pads as well. And this is like 99% of the references that I used for this one. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out in the description. Justin, good morning. Good morning to you. Where I am, it's like 8:30 almost, so it's getting closer to midnight. So thanks, Catch. Making some advertisement for our Discord channel. yeah, if anyone is interested in a small community that is giving each other feedback and just chatting about what they are currently working on, you can join the Patreon Discord as well. And yeah, it's growing a little bit, which I'm really happy about. It's always nice to have more people there. Catch, that would be awesome. Yeah, share your stuff. Even if you have, like, I don't know, if you started collecting references or something like that. Just share what you're doing. It's really interesting for me to see how diverse the interest is. And yeah, whenever I see like progression in the stuff that people are doing there, it's always awesome to see. Bam. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the best example is, I think, Tarzan, the old Disney movie. Even though it's pretty stylized, the anatomy is basically realistic. It's just different proportions. Good quote that I heard by one stylized character says, "I try to push it until the anatomy breaks, then bring it back a little." Yeah, that's a good advice. But in order to do that, you have to know the rules. So know the rules before you break them. Alright, same principle as earlier. I just want to get the basic forms in there first before I spend too much time detailing everything and then adding the noise. So that's true. Yeah, I was really excited about the clay polish feature, and it is really powerful in certain scenarios, but I find it sometimes hard to control to get the desired effect. But for some things, it's so awesome. It would be cool if it would change the proportions as well. Like, would analyze the form and just make it like the cartoon filters on Instagram. Yeah, it's. I think you have to play around with the settings quite a bit, and depending on your mesh resolution, or your topology, it's either really strong of an effect or really subtle. So I used it just occasionally, but the times it worked, it saved me so much time. Otherwise I would have needed to polish everything by hand using, I don't know, clay polish or H polish or trim dynamic and things like that. And this can take so much time. Alright, so the bone here isn't that accurate yet. I have to get more views of the femur. This reference here is really cool, but it lacks a side view. In any I make characters for animations. I start with a 1,000,000 polygon character to finish with a low version between 15 and 25,000 polys. Without cloth, for cloth, I try to keep an amount of 4,000. I mean, the polygon count is really dependent on what kind of game and what kind of platform you're developing for. So if it's a top-down strategy game, for example, or things like Dota or League of Legends, then you don't need that many polygons. But if it's like a AAA first-person shooter or first-person RPG game, even third-person like The Last of Us or God of War, then you need much more polygons than that. And it depends on the amount of characters that are displayed, but no. Glacios. Hello, what PC components do you recommend for Zbrush? Zbrush likes to have a lot of RAM, so I think under even 16 gigabits of RAM is still, I think, quite low. It's just on the edge of being useful. So yeah, I have 32 gigs of RAM here on my laptop. You don't need a good graphics card for Zbrush, but yeah, when it comes to rendering, for example, and you're using a GPU renderer, then that's obviously helpful, or it is helpful, not obviously. And in all cases, a good CPU is like the main component that I would spend money on. So if you're saving right now, spend it on a good CPU. Next, get a decent amount of RAM, and then whatever is left, spend it on a good, or as good of a graphics card that you can afford. But yeah, just like I said, I'm working on a laptop and I can easily get millions and millions of polygons in a single project without any issues. So right now I have 17 million with 106 objects in the scene, and I don't have any issues so far. Bam, yeah, I'm wondering too, especially when it comes to like VR and stuff, if we would get the same level of realism in the games that we have now for the PC in VR, that would be awesome. And I mean, if we get there in VR, then probably the desktop versions are even more insane. I think the next big leap when it comes to gaming is artificial intelligence and being able to create like, how do you call it? Procedural storytelling, where the AI is actually reacting to what you're doing. So I think the next big leap isn't about the visuals, it's about the gameplay itself and the... How did Elon Musk say to that? The level of how many things you can do. So I'm not quite sure how you pronounced that correctly, but right now when it comes to gameplay and the things that you're able to do, it's quite limited. Especially when it comes to like dialogue and how the world reacts to you. If this expands with the incorporation of machine learning or AI, then I think this becomes really interesting. So for a fantasy RPG, for example, that would be awesome to have like a proper, like interacting with not with an NPC, but with a real character. Like if you would play with a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, that would be really, really powerful. Stevens, until they find a way to auto skin rig animate characters, we'll still have optimized characters, but for static objects, I guess we will go for an insane, don't give a fuck amount of details. Yeah, that's true. But then you still have to match the characters with the rest of the environment, so maybe we'll hit a kind of a limit at some point before it falls apart. I mean, when the environment is so insanely detailed but the characters can't match up or can't keep up with it, then maybe it breaks. Maybe it doesn't. Not quite sure. I mean, in the old Disney movies, the background was extremely realistic. Not extremely, but really realistic in comparison to the very stylized, cel-shaded looking characters, so it might work. But yeah, technology and time is in our favors when it comes to graphics and things that we're able to do. RTX is a jump, but I think in different ways than it was marketed for. Like especially with the upscaling and deep learning super sampling that is currently now on the rise. This is a huge difference because you can basically render a scene in like 720 and upscale it in 4K without that much loss in detail. And this saves enormous amounts of computation power, which can be used otherwise. So I think in this regard, the RTX cards play a huge role. I'm really interested in how the game developers will take advantage of it. Yeah, I think so too. especially when it comes to like quests and yeah, I don't know. There's so much more to games than just the graphics. Black Kite, do you save streams? I do, but I only make them available through my patrons or over on my Patreon page. And like I said earlier, you get access to the reference sheet here as well. So if you want to do a study like this, you can jump over to the links in the description. Alright, I want to detail the front part a little bit more, and then I apply the noise. So a small groove in here to separate the two sides. Alright, I think it's time to apply the noise. So I think another subdivision level is good. The morph target, store morph target, surface, noise, scale to around, let's put it at 6. The profile here to something like this, color blend to 0, and maybe a bit bigger. Yeah, I think this looks good. And okay, now apply to mesh, and I can dial it a little bit down and use the morph brush to reduce it in areas that I wanted to be less affected. Oh, by the way, I tried learning Zbrush again the other day and I'm still confused, but not as confused as the first time since I'm getting used to navigation. Awesome to hear. Yeah, I mean, this is something, as soon as you figured it out, you will never think about it again. So I think it takes a lot of energy right now to get to the point where you feel comfortable with the UI. But once you got over that point, it's not an issue anymore. So hopefully it's you will get used to it quickly, because after that I think it's quite a lot of fun. And yeah, as always, if you have any questions regarding the software or certain tools or something like that, just let me know and I might be able to give you a few quick tips. Sometimes it's just a matter of this button, activating certain buttons to get rid of problems or to solve certain issues, and sometimes to look for that can take a while. So if there's anything, just let me know. for training, I take a picture of an item I have in my house or at work, and when I get time, I make it in Zbrush. That's a really good exercise. This will not only teach you the program, but looking at references, seeing how things work in the real life. And yeah, it's overall a really good thing to practice. That's why I like practicing anatomy, because it's similar to that, I think. It is something objective that I can try to replicate, and it teaches me how the real world works, or in this case, how real anatomy works. Now, breaking objects down into simple shapes is really helpful. I think a good exercise for that is drawing, so making 2D abstractions of the objects, like just with boxes or like cylinders and stuff like that. The most basic principle, what is it called? Primitives. This goes a long way. So if you're practicing that, you're on a good track. I think I should stretch more. Kind of tensed up at the moment. Maybe I'm sitting too much on the computer, or maybe both. stretch every morning before work because I work in an iron factory, and hit them by hand or with hydraulic machine to nail them straight to remove the curve. Oh wow, that sounds intense. Crazy interesting. Yeah, I don't have the excuse of physical labor. I just sit too much. But cool. Iron Factory. What are you working on there? Is it like specific? How do you say it? Is it specialized in certain parts, or is it a service? Precision mechanical pieces. That's interesting. A cousin of mine is doing that as well. So more on the engineering part. Yeah, stand-up desktop would be really nice. A few friends of mine have them, and they really like them, but they're so expensive. Like good ones. I think it's, I don't know, maybe 1,500, 2,000 for a standing desk. If I'm not mistaken, a friend of mine told me a little bit about it, but not quite sure if I remember correctly. But I think this would be really beneficial for my health to have something like that. Slay, I made a character. I need suggestion. Where can I show you? Just post it in the Discord. I think if I'm not giving feedback, maybe someone else is giving feedback. So yeah, especially if it's just a question that you have, Discord would be the best place, I think. Alright, I think the femur is looking good enough. I straighten the racks, you can find it everywhere like cars, planes, house, portals, you see. Oh, cool. Just today I saw like a compilation of like factory, the stupid YouTube recommendations of like manufacturing processes in blacksmithing. Not quite sure if it's the proper term, or foundry work, but it seems really interesting. What did you brought to, or what did what did how do I formulate the question? What brought you to Zbrush or to my stream? Is it like a hobby of yours, 3D? Now it's time for painting again. So, masking, mask per cavity, inverse the mask, hide it, and then with the darker color, punching out the details even more. Damn, have you tried sculpting traditionally? I did. I organized a weekly sculpting round at my school for a few years, where we were just sculpting with Super Sculpey, like a plastiline, and it was a lot of fun. And I plan to do like a traditional sculpting piece on stream at some point, but I haven't done it for quite a while, so probably have to get into it again. Nee. I make 3D for fun. I'm a big fan of video games. I draw with Clip Studio Paint, and I find your video on YouTube. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Bam, that sounds fun. Yeah, I can actually, let me pull that up. I can show you like sculpts that I did a few years ago. So I think this is 5 years ago now. Damn, time flies by. So yeah, this is all traditional, like maybe this big. And as you can see, I was into anatomy back then already, but yeah, never pushed it further than that. I think this was the pinnacle of my traditional sculpting. But it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the process. I hope to get back to it at a certain point again. Is this wax? No, it's called Super Sculpey. It's like a plastiline, a clay that isn't hardening on air. You have to bake it in order to make it rigid, like hard. And it's a really cool material. So you can start working on it. You can manipulate it in room temperature with your bare hands. And the cool thing is you can start working on a sculpture, then pause, put it aside, and come back to it like 2 weeks later, and you can still manipulate it as normal. So there isn't any change in the behavior of the sculpt over time, at least not for a few months. So it's a really cool material to work with, and it has this nice fleshy subsurface effect. But there's gray material like this as well. It's Super Sculpey gray, and I like to work with that as well. So Damn, when will you do one on stream? Looks cool, thanks. Not quite sure when I will do that. I still have so many projects that I want to do before that. I have like a really long list of things, and I would like to get through them before attempting that. And yeah, I think this is the main reason right now. There's just too much cool stuff out there. All right, the femur is done as well. I think I'm losing myself in the details. It's so much fun. I can't wait for the rendering. Hopefully the details will show up. And the print. And this one 3D printed, like as big as I can. Thanks, Nini. I think the biggest compliment for realistic stuff is people asking if it's a scan or not. I posted, see you later when you're free, and thank you. Oh, alright. Yeah, we'll take a look later on the Discord. So see you later, and thanks for stopping by. I can't stop working on that, on that stuff. Yeah, that would be a cool tabletop display. Yeah, I would like to print it out at least in this size. If I manage to do that, that would be really awesome. Just to match the reference figure that I already have. So yeah, hopefully I can get that done at some point. So let me actually think the sucks with the lighting. At a certain point the camera starts to have a rolling shutter, or shows the rolling shutter, so too bad. Alrighty. So on to the next one. Let's look for the patella. This one should be fairly quick. Probably I will spend 2 hours just on this one. Okay, so let's subdivide it a few times and start with the surface noise. So frame, then scale to like 7, color blend to 0, and the profile to something like this. Okay, morph target, store morph target, apply to mesh. Let's reduce the intensity just a little. I will not worry about the back side of it. I think this silhouette right now is too smooth, so changing that. Lets it fit better with the rest of the skeleton. Alright, same deal for the paint. Color, fill object, then masking, mask by cavity, inverse, give it a slight paint job here, and we're done. All right. Oh boy. But we made quite good progress today already with the femur and the sacrum. These were two bones that got quite a lot more detail than before. So, alright, I think I'm done for today. Bit tired, and I think I should grab something to eat as well. Maybe a bit more water also, but yeah, I think for the next stream I will, next stream I should be able to finish the rest of the leg, and then we're done. So close with the skeleton. Thanks, Bam. Yeah, alright, thanks everybody for joining. Right now it's a stage of the process that is quite repetitive and takes quite a lot of time, so I hope it's still somewhat valuable, especially with the questions that you're able to ask, and I hope I can provide a few interesting answers. So yeah. Will you do a skeleton render? Yes, I will do one. I will do one just with the skeleton, just with the muscles, or the skeleton, then the muscles on top. I think a version where just a few muscles are visible on top of the skeleton, just to see the underlying origin points and things like that. And I will make sure to make as best of a render that I can, and hopefully really cool prints. That would be really, really awesome. So it should end up as a nice portfolio piece that is worth putting in the portfolio, and to have a reference figure on my table, that would be really nice. So yeah, thanks again for joining, and yeah, if you're interested in the recordings, as always, feel free to join the Patreon to get access to the live stream archive, as well as to the other projects and the reference sheet that you can see here. And yeah, thanks to all my patrons in the chat. I really appreciate your support, and it's really nice to see all the stuff that you're posting on the Discord channel. So next stream will be on Wednesday. Hopefully I will be able to finish the rest of the leg, and then the skeleton is done, and then it's time for the muscles. So alright, thanks everybody. Hope you have a great day, great night wherever you are, and I will see you on Wednesday. So take care everybody. Bye.